Hello and welcome to Fearless DIY Music. My name is Tristan Lass, and today I want to talk about 5 of the most common solid body electric guitar shapes and just kind of discuss what I perceive to be the pros and cons of each. And I'm going to do them in order of least favorite to favorite. So as you can guess, the SG style guitar kind of falls into the bottom of my list, and I will tell you why. Despite the fact that this is the guitar that I learned on, this is my very first electric guitar that I ever bought, right here. And my issue mainly is that with the SG style, the neck comes off the body, and you've got a lot of real estate out here when you're like, sitting and doing like an A chord and doing all your various things. Up above the, below the 7th fret, I feel like my arm's a little overextended. What else is irks me about the SG? 3 on a side tuners is not my favorite thing, but that's not much of a deal breaker at all. I also, with the way that it's set up, everything's very flat on this guitar, and I find that with, and on a Gibson, of course, there would be a little bit more neck angle than there is on a Guild. Guilds are pretty dead flat. But I find that this hand ends up being a little bit further forward than I feel comfortable with, and that's just due to where, the body contour is and how it rests on the leg. Standing up with one of these, I find that it's a little bit more comfortable. This particular one is very thin, like a classic SG. I mean, this is a 1971, so this is built very light. It's not like the current Guild production guitars, which are quote-unquote chunky and really substantial. This is a very lightly built guitar. It is comfortable while standing, but since I spend most of my time practicing and most of my time tracking, like most of you out there I would guess, I'm sitting with the guitar. And I just find that having my hand shifted forward and this hand kind of extended out to grab things, like I said, below the 7th fret, is a little bit uncomfortable. Now let's talk about the good things about it. It being thin and lightweight, as most SGs are, it is comfortable that way, in that part of the ergonomic spectrum. And if you're going to do lead guitar, everything right here at the 12th fret up is just right there, and it just feels great. You've got all your notes just right there. You don't have to move your hand a whole lot, and it's super comfortable, and you do have full access to the entire fretboard. And so that would be my pros, but overall, as far as the overall ergonomics, SGs are my least favorite. And feel free to leave your opinions in the comments. I would love to hear from people who would be like, oh, well, the SG I think is the best body style. And give me your pros and cons. And do that with all of the guitars I'm about ready to go through as well. All right, so let's put the SG down and grab number 4, and that would be the classic Les Paul. When I put this on my lap, I have an immediate issue. One, the guitar has shifted back so that where my hand is once again not exactly where I would like my right hand to be. Number 2, due to the pinched waist, the cutaway drops this right down and it's pretty low. Now, the advantage this has over the SG is that where the neck joins the body, everything's pretty comfortable in here, although it is a little low. And if you try to, go ahead and angle it up like that, then it becomes horribly out of balance. And I find that I only really like to do rhythm work on a Les Paul in the studio if I'm sitting with it. If I'm standing with it, I'm more inclined to go ahead and start doing more single note stuff. But it's just the way it sits on my particular body, where it positions my right hand. I kind of go ahead and just shift my whole hand up, but if I'm going to do palm muting and stuff, I still feel a little tweaked back that direction. But overall, the neck sits in a lot better place than the SG. But this is far from ideal for me. And I think that Les Pauls are a better guitar if you're going to stand up, and they're great performance guitars. Obviously, time has told that story over and over again, and I feel a lot more comfortable playing one of these when I'm standing. But as far as a sit-down instrument that I want to practice or use for tracking for an extended period of time, Les Paul will be number 4 on my list. All right. So let's move on to the Telecaster. Tellys. Leo Fender's first genius guitar. Telly. Now all of a sudden right here, I feel like the neck's in the right place. I feel like I've got, some nice, palm muting ability. I feel like the neck is up where it's super comfortable. My elbow is almost at a perfect 90-degree angle going into it. And immediately I feel like playing. I did not have that inclination right away with either the SG or the Les Paul style guitar. I immediately feel like I can feel totally comfortable playing bar chords, cowboy chords, pretty much anything that I want to do. However, there are negatives to a Telly. This is all, it's just a block of wood. There's no contours for an extended session, or if I was going to be sitting and practicing for an extended period of time, or if I was doing a sit-down gig, or even a stand-up gig, I would eventually, and you can see here I've worn through a little bit, I would eventually have some rash on my arm just from that. If I'm playing a little aggressively, or I decide to put my whole arm into, my playing, I'm going to start to get a little bit of discomfort going there. And as far as fret access, position of neck, position of bridge, and all that stuff, it feels really good. And most Fenders do to me. I mean, that is just my preference. I'm kind of a, I'm a Fender-based player for the most part. That's just the way I've evolved and the instruments that I gravitate towards. So that's my take on the Telly. It's too blocky. And that's why it comes in at number 3, because it does position everything pretty much where I would like to be. All right, which brings me to number 2. I have only recently got into the offset game. It's really only been a little over a year that I've been playing these. And I find the Jazzmaster to be much more satisfying than the Jaguar, just due to scale length. I think the Jaguar has its place, but I would, my offset of choice is a Jazzmaster. Now, right away, just the neck is just right where it should be. I feel like the body is very well balanced for palm muting, just right there where it needs to be, and I only have to scoot maybe an inch to kind of do the picking that I like to do. The kind of picking I like to do around my rhythm pickup, almost up to the neck, because this is kind of like a zone where I like to live a lot of the time if I'm not doing more staccato-y kind of stuff or muted kind of stuff. So I feel super comfortable on this guitar. Where the vibrato lands is also ideal for me. This is the first guitar that we have looked at so far that does have a vibrato system included with it. I find that the Jazzmaster placement is very good, very ergonomic. The where the neck sits is great. I do kind of not like this part being kind of against my chest, although, for an extended playing period, that's not going to bother me. It has the contour, which makes things comfortable, and I just really think it's the balance and where the neck ends up and where the bridge ends up that really makes the Jazzmaster a very ergonomic instrument. And I mean, it was designed to be a sit-down guitar for a jazz guitarist. That was the vision. Of course, that is not how that has played out through history, but that was its original design, was to be a guitar that was played seated in the position that I'm in now. And it delivers completely on that promise. All right, number 1, no surprises here. If you know me at all, or have watched any of the other videos on the channel, Stratocaster platform is kind of my default setting. Over the years, I have found that the Strat is just the most comfortable both standing and sitting for me. The neck is a little bit lower than the Jazzmaster. It has, the Jazzmaster naturally wants to do this. Strat naturally just wants to be flat, just dead flat. I like that. I like the, the feeling that my hands are just right in unison together, roughly at the same, if you took a straight edge across here, my hands are in about the same place, keeps my shoulders in place, and the cutaway or the contour on the bottom lends itself perfectly for seated comfort, and then when you stand up, it maintains its balance very well. I find that the bridge, where the bridge lives, and where the upper frets to the first fret, all of this just feels super comfortable right where it should be. I have to say the Jazzmaster is roughly in the same zone, but the fact that this guitar likes to lay more flat on the plane rather than up at an angle, I find this to be my ideal body shape and configuration for a solid body electric guitar. Now, I want to see in the comments people arguing with me about this. I'm sure that there are tons of people who would go, oh, but you don't get what the Les Paul can offer, or you're missing this about the Tele, one of the most esteemed solid body electrics of all time. I would love to hear the comments. There is a lot of subjectivity, obviously, in this assessment, but I did want to deliver a few of the ergonomic things that I've noticed over the years that always end up landing me back to the Strat as being kind of my default comfort instrument. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. If you have made it this far in the video, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, shares, and of course the comments section. So smash that subscribe button on your way out, and we'll see you next time with more content. You take care.